Our verse for today comes from the second half of verse 19 and then all of verse 20 in Galatians chapter 2, where Paul says, I have been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I have to kind of look at my Bible to say that verse because it's a verse I actually memorized way back in the early 1990s in a different translation. And so I have to look at it in my Bible. I learned that verse thanks to a mentor I had at that time in my life, a man who was with a ministry called the Navigators. And the Navigators believe very strongly in the value and the importance of memorizing Scripture. And that's the first verse, the first passage that I was to learn. And it's a verse which again speaks to our identity and the death of our old self. It is no longer I who live because I've been crucified with Christ. And the life I now live in the flesh or in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God. And what did the Son of God, what did Jesus do for us? He loved us, he loved you, and he gave himself for you. And that's just such a foundational verse for understanding what is the Christian faith about. It's about letting go of our selfish self. What Paul would say is living according to the flesh, that we'll talk about later this week. And it's about living by the Spirit of Christ. And there are things that have to die in order for the Spirit to live within us. And to always think about the fact that Christ loves you and loved you enough to die for you. It's really an overwhelming thing when you contemplate that. It makes you, if you really think about it, perhaps uneasy, uncomfortable. The idea that Jesus endured so much pain and ridicule and scorn and all so that you and I would be forgiven, could be a part of God's family, would know the depth of God's love for us. It's just really amazing to think about. So as you take time this day, I pray that you'll be able to say that you have been crucified with Christ, that your old selfish self no longer lives. And the life you now live, for however much time God gives you, you're going to live by faith, in the faith of the Son of God, who loves you more than you can comprehend, and who gave himself for you and for the entire world. God's indescribable and unspeakable gift for you and for me.